In this video, I'm going to be sharing some top tips on how to survive those long motorcycle rides. Let's get started. Tip number 1. Remember to stay fed and watered. Make sure you're eating good sized meals and drinking plenty of water throughout the journey. I'm guilty of not always doing this, but I've learned that the ride is more enjoyable if I've had plenty of water and plenty to eat. I also try and stay as caffeinated as possible with plenty of coffee breaks and energy drinks as well. Tip number 2, take breaks. Where possible, I aim to have breaks every 2 hours minimum, unless I really feel like I don't need one. I like having a chance to take my helmet off, stretch my legs, grab a snack or a coffee. So I'd really recommend taking breaks quite often. Tip number 3, invest in a comfortable seat. So this isn't something I've personally done yet, but it's something I'm looking into, especially if I'm going to be going on some of these longer motorcycle tours. When you're sat in the same position for many hours, it can get pretty uncomfortable, but I hear there are plenty of mods and options available to make the seats on the bikes more comfortable. And most bikes you can actually take out the default seat and put in a custom one. Tip number 4, dress in layers. As we know, the weather can change and it can change quickly, so being able to adjust your clothing is crucial. It's better to be wearing extra layers and then be able to strip down as and when needed. An example of this is that I bought a heated vest earlier in the year and it made a huge difference to my rides in winter. In winter I normally have a base layer as well, then some thin joggers and some motorcycle jeans, plus a t-shirt, sweater and motorcycle jacket. So plenty of layers. Tip number 5, always use ear protection. I know earplugs aren't the coolest thing in the world, but long exposure to wind and engine noise has been proven to cause hearing damage. It's one of those things where it's not something you notice immediately, but in 20 years time you could really see some serious effects of not using ear protection. Tip number 6, monitor your fuel level. Worrying about running out of fuel or when you'll get to the next fuel stop can really spoil the trip. So it's good to keep fuel stops in mind when you're planning your journey. If you have time before setting off, have a think about where and when you might stop off to get fuel. Which brings us to the last tip, tip number 7. Plan your route. Knowing where you're going, when you're going to take breaks, what time you're supposed to get to the final destination can really help reduce stress and keep you on track. I personally always try and plan my route out on Google Maps before setting off. This will be transferred onto my GPS device and I'll use that to help guide my journey. I'll normally put ETAs for each location as well along the route to help me make sure that I'm on track, but somehow I still often manage being late. But avoiding any sort of navigation issues can really help when going on these long journeys. So those are some tips from my experience of doing some of these longer rides, and it should hopefully help you have a comfortable and safe journey. I hope you found it useful. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you did, and I'll see you in the next video.